Hi, I'm Dr. Dranitsaris here with some Fearless Friday Power Up tips to help you deal with the fear of recognition. It's funny, isn't it, that most of us seek approval, most of us are looking for recognition in some form or another, but fear of recognition that's associated with the imposter syndrome is a particularly tricky one because although these people are constantly seeking that approval that they need to feel less of an imposter, they're actually unable to take in praise and the reality of how effective they are, how successful they are, because it would interfere with their psychological operating system, that system that helps make them feel psychologically secure. So I want to talk first about the praise paradox, which those who suffer from the imposter syndrome or those who have an inability to take in praise often struggle with. It's a phenomenon where individuals have difficulty accepting praise or recognition for their accomplishments. And despite having achieved success, these individuals struggle to internalize positive feedback or to acknowledge their own competence, leading to that continuation of feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. And so because they won't let anything in that interferes with this self-concept they have of themselves, that they're never good enough, they're never enough, they refuse to take anything in to disrupt the smooth operating of that unconscious self-protective system that they have. So this is what goes on. So imagine that you've just delivered this fantastic presentation at work and your boss tells you you did a great job. Instead of feeling proud of your work and accepting the compliment, you might discount your success by thinking, oh, it wasn't that great, or saying to your boss, oh, I just got lucky. It was all of the work that my team did, when it was actually one's own work. This is the praise paradox in action. People who struggle with the imposter syndrome tell themselves that they're frauds. Feeling like a fraud isn't a feeling. There's an anxiety behind what we judge ourselves to be. There's an anxiety that we might not perform to our own expectations. But even that notion that we feel like a fraud, that we're afraid of being found out, underlying it is this fear that we're not going to get the approval that we're seeking, and that may threaten our sense of survival or security. People with the imposter syndrome, they often convince themselves, and again, this is to keep this praise paradox going, to keep the imposter alive and well. They only think they're successful because of luck and because they fooled other people into thinking that they're more capable. And the act of discounting their own success, feeling like they don't deserve it, or telling themselves they don't deserve it because they have such difficulty and intolerance taking in the pleasure of that recognition that they're constantly in search of. So it's like that young child that desperately wants some candy and asking their mother and trying to bully them and sulking and doing all kinds of things, and then finally when the mom relents and they get their candy, oh, I don't want it, I'm not going to take it in, I'm too upset at this point in time. You see that stuckness that is there in the praise paradox, where in order to take in the praise and feel pleasure in what somebody else is saying, we have to admit to ourselves that we really need other people and that we are seeking approval from others. So when we don't take in the praise, we can say that we really didn't want it, we didn't expect it, it's unnecessary, we don't need it. But that's just a denial of our human self and what we're actually going for, especially when we suffer from the multitude of symptoms of the imposter syndrome. So the feeling of being uncomfortable means that we have to build tolerance to taking something in. Our defenses are such that we keep everything outside of us. Like we're a closed unit where we're convinced that we don't need anybody or anything because, hey, if I need someone, they might disappoint me, or if someone might judge me if I'm vulnerable with them. And so, in order to keep ourselves safe from judgment, we pretend and deceive ourselves into believing that we don't, when we actually do need approval. It's a stage of growth and development all human beings go through. And to deny that we need this, to deny that we're looking for approval and that we want our hard work validated, is simply an act of self-deception. The other reason this happens is that we're so conditioned to believe that humility is a virtue, and we're taught it's not polite to be too pleased with ourselves or proud of ourselves, and we should be modest about all of our accomplishments, which this, of course, just leads to more feelings of guilt or shame when we do receive praise. But here's the thing, when we reject it, we're not only denying ourselves this satisfaction, but we're turning down a gift that somebody else has carefully chosen for us. So what can we do about it? Well, for starters, let's start building tolerance to compliments and start admitting to ourselves, I like praise. I enjoy getting positive feedback. I need it. It lends itself to me building confidence. And I become less anxious when I know that I have worked hard and my efforts have not gone unnoticed. And so instead of brushing it off and discounting it, simply say thank you, demonstrate gratitude, and acknowledge your work. And And we can also work on changing our inner dialogue. When we receive praise, we need to remind ourselves that we have worked hard and we deserve recognition for hard work. We have to challenge our negative self-talk and replace it. Nature abhors a vacuum. So make sure that you're just not trying to stop the negative self-talk, but you're putting something else, something supportive, something positive in its place. And lastly, we can remember that it's okay to feel pleased with ourselves, even proud of ourselves. We don't have to hide our success or downplay our accomplishments. By embracing our strengths and accepting recognition, we build confidence and we're more empowered to pursue our goals. So the praise paradox can be overcome. It's developed through, as is the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is simply a collection of symptoms that denote a place that we are stalled in our development. That's why so many people talk about feeling stuck, even though they know everything about their inner dialogue and they know what they're suffering from, and they talk about feeling like a fraud. They may have tried a few things. They don't know what to do next. And as we grow in relationship to others, remember this, that if we aren't getting help, if we're not getting a roadmap for how to move past this with all of the tools and tips and techniques for getting from this negative mindset that was developed in our childhood and this negative self-concept into a more accurate, authentic version of ourselves that we are choosing to live from. If we don't have those things and we don't have a coach or a therapist that we're working with, we stall our growth. Too many people suffering from the imposter syndrome think that they have to do it alone, and it's the absolute worst thing. So if you're struggling with the praise paradox, unable to take in praise or recognition, make sure that you reach out and get the help that you need. I'm always available for a free consultation, or go to our website, nowfixyourrelationship.com, to get some information on how to deal with the imposter syndrome in its many forms. So again, tips for powering past this praise paradox. There's an alliteration. Make sure you start building tolerance to taking in the pleasurable feelings that praise and recognition for your efforts and hard work cause you to feel. Own them. They belong to you. I'm Dr. Ann Dranitsaris, and thank you for joining me today and listening to information on both the imposter syndrome and the praise paradox. Bye for now.